Hello, ARC family. Welcome to the ARC Journey. We have Lance with us today, the director of the General Conference, and he is going to be our keynote speaker at conference this year. Lance, can you give us a teaser about what you're going to talk about?
Sure. Thanks, Phil. And it's good to be with you today and looking forward to being with you at conference. And, I think it's an understatement that this has been a hard year for everybody. We've all had to learn new things. We've all had to do things we've never tried before. And as you know, we're going to take some time to look forward about what does the church look like post-COVID? Because there will be a time, even though sometimes even now we scratch our head and wonder when will we be out of this, where we will come out of this. And this is, one of the realities is that this has impacted our world in profound ways. Like there are things that won't go back to the way they were. There are some things that will, and even some things, depending on what community you're in, that's going to be different from one community to the next. And so, how do we prepare as church leaders to do ministry in a world coming out of a pandemic? What does that look like? And I think there are lots of things that we could explore. Obviously, a lot of us have learned how to do this, that there's, a digital piece that for some of us, that's not going to go away. We're going to continue to have to figure out how do we do discipleship or how do we do ministry online? I know that's not everybody's situation, that there's some of you that live in kind of, places where internet's a challenge or the people you're loving and serving, that's not the way they operate. And so that's not the end all be all answer. I think one of the things COVID has shown us is there are probably some new ways to start thinking about our buildings and how do we use the space we have and steward that to bless and reach our communities in new ways? Just a whole realm of things that I think we'll kind of explore about what are the opportunities, because that's the reality is there are opportunities and there are threats, and sometimes they're closely linked. There's the opportunity in a digital world to reach people that aren't in our locale that we could have never reached before. But there's also the threat that we just kind of pump out more consumerism, that, people just, following Jesus is flipping on a screen for a half hour, and that's what it amounts to. And so there are lots of pitfalls, lots of opportunities. But I think the real key, and hopefully what we explore and give you some handles on is, God's at work in this. That God's at work in your community, in your neck of the woods, in your town. And one of our challenges is I think we don't always recognize how God's already at work. We assume we have to dream it up. We assume we've got to come up with a plan or an idea, rather than let's figure out what God's doing and how he's working. And then how do we as a unique people of God bring our gifts and talents and resources to that and join him in what he's already up to. And so I think that's one of the most exciting opportunities for me is the realization. And, COVID didn't change any of this. I mean, this has always been true, but God's at work in every single one of our neighborhoods, in every single one of our communities, in every single one of our towns or the areas in which we serve. And we just, our most pressing question probably isn't how do we move online or how do we do this differently or how do we do this differently, but rather what's God really up to and how do we give ourselves to that? And so I think it's going to be a really rich time of just exploring some of the things that I think this season has brought to us, or at least opened our eyes to, or even accelerated into the, I don't think it really changed that much as much as sped things up, but it's also going to be about exploring how do you see the Lord working? How do you open your eyes to what he's doing? Who are the people he's bringing in your way? And how do you join them in that place? Because I think that's the sweet spot. That's the intersection where we're going to see lots of fruit born.
That is really helpful. Thank you, Lance. So what this is not is it is not here's a new model for you, and you need to do all these things, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're not doing them, you're not going to measure up. That's not what this is about. What this is going to be about is engaging with your leadership to discuss what is God up to, how is he moving, and we're going to have discussion questions for you to be able to engage with your leadership so that you can determine this for your ministry moving forward. So we're looking forward to seeing you at conference session and hearing from you at 11 o'clock. So if you want to have your leadership team together to be able to be engaged with this, and a discussion time over the lunch hour. So we're hoping to see you all then at conference May 15th. And until then, keep shining. Thanks, Lance.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.